said, what makes them distinct? Go ahead.
So what makes them distinct would be the notion. So Aquinas has this idea
Yeah.
that with certain persons, there's going to be certain concepts attributed to them. So for the Father, there's going to be two notions. I believe it's inascibility and
Explain
paternity.
that.
Paternity. Yeah.
So
What's
inascibility is going to be the idea that the Father does not proceed from any person in a logical sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then paternity is going to be the idea that the Father begets the Son. Now, there's going to be another idea as well,
Holy
which
Spirit?
is going to be, I'm just explaining, you don't need to, So when it comes to the idea of the Son, and I'll come back to the Father because there's one more, but it has to be explained in light of the Holy Spirit.
Exactly.
The Son is going to have the idea of filiation, which is the passion in regards to the action of paternity. And I'm assuming you know what action and passion are. Now, when it comes to the Holy Spirit, there's going to be this idea of passive spiration. This is the passion in relation to the action of active spiration, which is attributed to the Father as well. And in Catholic missiology, specifically on the issue of the filioque, they would also attribute active spiration to the person of the Son as well. So there's around 5 notions in God, and so these things are going to act as the distinguishing notions.
So what makes the Father distinct from the Son?
The fact that he has inascibility and
What does that mean?
paternity. I explained that before.
Can you explain it again, please?
So inascibility is the idea that the Father does not proceed from any other person.
Okay.
So paternity
Sure.
is just going to be the fact that the Father
So
begets the Son.
the Father does not proceed from any other person,
Yeah.
yet the Son does
The Son proceeds from the Father,
from the Father. How?
How?
Yeah, how does that happen?
Intelligible operation.
Oh, yeah. So the idea, is this the thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Aquinas, again, I'm assuming you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Aquinas says in question... Hello. Aquinas says in question 28, and I think we went over this last time we had dinner.
Yeah.
Aquinas says in question 28 that on the part of God, you could think of, in an analogous way, on the part of God, you could think of the procession of the Son as some sort of intelligible operation. So the idea...
What does that mean?
Yeah, so the procession of, I believe it's the procession of the intellect itself in the knower. So the idea,
intellect?
Yeah, so he pulls from Augustine, who uses the idea of knowledge in the Trinity. So the person of the Father knowing everything, you would agree that the person of the Father knows everything? I'm asking if you agree.
I don't believe in the person of the Father. I mean, so it's.
We could just use the
I'm a
principle,
Muslim, so I
the
mean,
principle of God, right? Principle
Okay.
of God as existence. Would he know everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Would he also know
No,
himself?
but can we just stick to? I'm learning from you.
I understand.
Yeah.
And the way
So can we get to
and I am. Actually,
relations?
This is the relation.
what is the relation?
The relation of the
What
Father
did you call it?
begetting the Son.
Intelligent operations.
Intelligible operation.
Yeah. Can you explain that to me? What
I
does that mean?
was,
Yeah.
and I was doing that the way Aquinas did,
Yeah.
by starting with the person of God, qua Father. Now, since you rejected that, I just substituted the word Father for Allah so it can make sense to you.
No, but we don't believe in that. It's
So
not,
when
it's not an
God
equivalence.
says, for example,
Yeah.
that God knows, so when Aquinas says that God knows everything, he also says that God knows himself in a supreme and eminent way.
Sure.
Now, he also knows
Is that the
himself-
Father or the Triune God?
This is referring to the idea of how you could conceive of the Father knowing himself. So
Okay.
he says that the Father, since in knowing himself, knows everything about himself, including his property of existence and essence as being identical.
Say that again.
thing, including his property of existence and essence as being identical, he would also say that this knowledge of himself, this self-knowledge, would also really exist. Now, this is going to be constitutive of a second reality, and this is what we would describe as the Son. So the intellectual emanation is in this sense. This is the analogy that Aquinas tries to suppose, and it comes from Augustine and I believe Boethius as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Boethius, yeah.
okay, beautiful. So Assalamualaikum, how are you? Good to meet you. Good to meet you. Intellectual emanation.
It's only just going to be like analogous to the way that this thing can be done.
Can you explain through analogy
Yeah.
how intellectual emanation will work?
How intellectual emanation
Yeah,
will work.
from the
So-
Father and the Son, for example.
So it's just going to be on the part of the mind itself. So the mind itself is going to conceive of itself as doing the thing.
Yep.
And then by
Okay.
reason of doing that, there's going to
I
be
think
some sort of
so.
possession.
When you say intellectual emanation,
Yeah.
is there something happening from the Father which is distinct and then leading to the Son?
No, so for Aquinas, he would say that this is atemporal and infinitely present. So he just believes that
You say?
infinitely
Atemporal.
present.
Yeah.
So this is actually something that Ibn...
Sorry. Say that again.
Infinitely present.
We were both saying it at the same time. Infinitely present.
So the idea, right, is just, and this is from like classical, it's just classical understandings of metaphysics, both in the Islamic tradition as well as the Christian tradition, as you know. The idea is going to be that since God is going to be outside of time, these operations, these ad intra, meaning within, these ad intra operations of God are going. Pardon me.
You're doing good, Habib. Keep going.
Yeah, so these ad intra operations on the part of God, right? There was not going to be a time in which the process began, and it should not be seen as a sort of process in any sense. There was no temporal succession of events. It's just simply for him it's going to be the case, which is just like the idea of it is the case that God exists, rather than there's a point in time when God started to exist or that God continues to exist.
From my understanding, and both of you have said this before, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Aquinas believes in divine simplicity, right?
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Now, is the Father ontologically separate from the Son?
No.
Okay, fine. So the
And
Father.
by ontology, what do you mean?
So the Father and the Son are the same.
I just wanted to ask you, by ontology, what do you mean? Before you do the thing.
Now hold on. Is the Father ontologically separate from the Son?
What does that mean? Because I have an idea of ontology. Right?
Are they separate entities?
Are they separate entities?
Yes.
If by entity you just mean existences, then no, they're not separate
Pardon?
existences. No, they're not separate existences. So for Aquinas, the existence of the Father and the Son are going to be the same.
Yeah.
However, the hypostasis, which is the underlying reality of the Father, the underlying reality of the Son.
Would it be fair to say that the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit are just names for the same thing?
They're not names for the same thing, no.
What are
they are
they
names that are going to pick out specific underlying realities. Now, the hypostasis of the Father has the same existence, as Aquinas says, as the hypostasis of the Son, due to the idea that the existence of God is identical to the essence of God, of which you would agree, right? That existence and essence in God are the same.
There's difference of opinion among the scholars. We'll come to
I'm asking for your opinion.
No, but there's difference of opinion about it.
The reason why is the reason why I'm asking this question is because if you have a different notion or idea of these concepts like essence, existence, hypostasis, reality, so on, then we're obviously going to be talking past each other.
No, I agree.
Right,
So,
and because you agree,
sure.
because you agree, right now, could you please adopt a view that is either that you agree with the idea
of
that
what? No, I don't need to adopt.
You don't.
Why? I don't. I can be agnostic to that point.
Why would you be agnostic to
Why
whether
not?
God has existence and essence?
You've asked me the question about whether there's a distinction between essence and existence.
Yeah.
My response to that is, I've looked at different traditions about that, and I'm still making my mind.
So you don't know?
No, I haven't made up my mind on that.
So you don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Sure.
Right?
So I'm coming back to you now, and I'm asking you a question, which is that, is the Father a separate thing to the Son?
Is the Father a separate thing?
Yeah.
No. And the reason why is because in Aquinas' scholastic theology, there are definitions of distinction. Now, just so that I don't become pedantic, right?
No, good.
You understand what a real distinction is, correct?
Explain to me what you think it is, because hold on. This is very important. Let me tell you why. The reason why this is important is because Aquinas uses terms that are not used in the same context in the same way by other thinkers. So I need to always ask you what you mean by it.
I think a real distinction.
Wait, when does Aquinas use
words
in different contexts?
He does. Trust me.
Could you give an example?
No, I don't want to.
That's like saying, trust me, bro. I need you to give an example.
Yeah, so sure. For example, the essence and existence distinction.
When does he give a different definition of the essence and
No,
existence?
let me explain. So, for example, in the Islamic tradition, where you have like Avicenna or Ibn Rushd or Avi Rose and these guys, they have a complete understanding of that. Ibn Taymiyyah has a complete understanding of that.
Avicenna does not have a different understanding of essence. No, he does not.
So
no, he does not.
It's very important.
Brother, please.
No, he does not.
In Islamic philosophy, like the Aristotelian category of like existence is pretty much the same from.
You're not saying shit, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I'm sensing an extreme disrespect from you, but I don't see why.
You're sensing a disrespect.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
it's fine.
I'm so sorry. Hail Mohammed Hijab.
No, don't hail to me. Let's just
don't worry. There's no like
know your level.
inside or anything.
Look, brother.
Just 1 second.
The point is this: because this is, let me explain. Divine simplicity is the idea that God is not composed of anything in terms of parts or attributes even, which have a separate ontological distinction from other attributes.
No, not really.
No, it does mean that. Let me explain. Let me finish. Let me explain.
I will correct you.
No, hold on. You don't need to correct me.
No, because you're wrong.
So, for example,
you're
let me
actually wrong.
hold on. So
Like, this is the first time I'm saying that you're wrong.
No,
Like, you
no.
are wrong.
I know you say that. So you can say what you like.
I know,
But
because it's true. You are wrong.
do people that believe in divine simplicity
Yeah.
believe that God has actual power?
Has actual power.
Yeah, actual power as an ontological entity separate from the essence.
He
No, they
just
don't
thinks
believe that he has
Yes or no?
distinctions
Yes
and
or no? Yes or no?
separations.
Yeah,
That's what
which
he
is the
thinks.
issue. Yeah.
That's the issue.
So,
Brother, please.
So divine simplicists don't
thinks
believe that God
Okay.
has a separate attribute known as
Pardon?
known as actual power. And actual power isn't even a term. So there are two
Is
ideas of
can
power.
I ask you a
I'm going
question?
to explain. There are two
Does God have actual power or not?
Again, I'm going to explain.
Yeah.
So the idea among the divine simplists, right,
Yeah.
is that there are two types of power. So
Yeah.
active, not actual, active. Active power and then passive power. In Latin, it's going to be like active potentia and then passive potentia. Now,
Yeah.
for Aquinas, God has active potentia in the highest degree. However, you were wrong when you said that divine simplists believe that the attributes have to be separate things. No.
No. Let me ask you a question.
They don't believe
No, let me
that.
ask you a question.
Their problem
Let me
with
ask you a
composition,
brother,
I'm going
please.
to just finish.
Brother,
Look,
please.
I have to finish.
No, let it be a dialogue. Let it be a dialogue.
I know, and it's my part of
Go-
the dialogue
okay,
right
go
now.
ahead, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go
So,
ahead.
when it comes to Aquinas believes that the problem is going to be in composition. Those two things don't have to be separate. For example, the distinction between a body and a soul. A body and a soul aren't separate,
Okay.
right? Even in heaven, yet they are still composite.
Okay. Let's
And the reason that they're composite is because they are something
Sure.
about the subject, and I've told you this before. There's something about the subject that is not the whole of the subject. Now, my question
No, brother,
to
please.
you would be in this dialogue.
Let me come back on this.
Would
Let
be
me
if you
brother,
agree with that.
Please, brother.
Got my back, please.
What is the knowledge of God? What is knowledge? What is
Knowledge?
knowledge? Yeah, what's knowledge?
Knowledge for us is just going to be the possession of a form without becoming that form.
No, not for us. What does the word knowledge mean?
What does knowledge mean?
Yeah, what is the distinction between knowledge and power? Explain it to me, please.
So again, you're being vague with your question because I explained what the term knowledge meant, and then you said, "What does it mean again?" And then I just explained it again.
Okay, brother, this is a simple question, of all due respect. Knowledge,
Not really.
it is, because,
No, otherwise everyone would have the same definition.
well, they pretty much do actually on this.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, they have a very similar definition on knowledge, yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, well, please.
You have modern analyticists that have like justified
Okay.
belief,
Please,
but then
you're
there's
wrong.
like
If I
guessing
say,
cases.
okay, wrong, okay, I'm very wrong, no problem. When I say this person has power, is it different to saying that he has knowledge? Is different or the same thing?
Well, on the part of him, yes. So
Oh, in the part of him, yes. Okay.
the part of him.
So with him, for example, if I say he has power, I'd expect, or strength, something like that, I'm talking about his ability to move things, to operate his will, right? When I'm talking about knowledge, I'm talking about how much he has information in his mind, for example. Would you
information in his
accept
mind.
information? Or,
Because
for
again,
example, knowledge. For example, knowledge. The classical definition of it, which I've come across, which most people agree with, is idrak al-ma'lumat, which is the idea of knowing things which are informative.
So knowing, so
Sorry.
knowledge is knowing things
sorry,
that are informative.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
You did.
Knowledge is having possession of informative facts. Okay.
Having possession of
informative
facts.
yeah, information.
So,
having possession
like,
of information.
And again,
So okay,
you, said
you have
this is the
two things.
classical- I just want to clarify something.
Hold on, one second.
You said it's the classical definition.
Hold
right?
on. Hold on.
Is that Aristotelian?
Do you
Is that
accept there's a difference between knowledge and power or not?
Again, I can't answer that
In
question
general,
because I'm
if I say this person has knowledge and he has power, is it the
why I
same thing
can't
or different
necessarily-
thing?
knowledge.
Hold on.
Okay, what I mean by
The
knowledge is
reason I can't answer the
so
question
let me
is
ask it,
because
brother,
there
please.
still seems to be an
He's asked me a
issue
question now. He's asked me a
with-
question. He said, "What
Yeah,
do I
you
mean
just
by?"
asked the question.
I said,